What is up, everybody? Welcome to Everyday's Draft Day Playoffs Edition. We have finally made it. The regular season is over. It is time for the playoffs. After we didn't get the tie we all wanted in the last game of the season, we're looking ahead to a wild card weekend. But before that, we have to go over some of these new head coaching vacancies we've got in around the league. I'm your host, Dan Turner. Joining me, as always, happy as a clam that Joe Judge is no longer around, Steffi Smalls. What's up, Steph?
Not much. What's going on?
Nothing. It's busy. It's a busy time.
It
A lot
is
of
a
stuff
busy
going on.
time.
A lot of stuff
I
going on.
agree. There's a lot to absorb and process with all of these openings. And like we always have this many head coaching openings, but I think with the GM openings, there being three, especially three teams where, you know, I mean, the Vikings job is obviously very appealing.
Mhm.
There's things to like, I think, about the Bears and some things to like also about the Giants opening. There's a lot of like clean slate options between Bears and Giants a little.
Absolutely, yeah. You don't see as many GM firings as you have this time, so it'll be interesting to see if they hire the GMs, what coaches they bring along with them. So let's just jump right into it, talking about our first team. So let's talk about first about actually let's talk about the Giants. Let's just start off with the Giants.
Ugh, do we have to? Yeah, we
Yes, we
can.
do. So if you were in charge of the Giants, who would you hire as head coach?
So, what I really want, I
Yes.
had to take a deep breath because it's like crap. What I really want the Giants to do is to think very outside the box, make hires that make them maybe a little bit uncomfortable because it's not the normal guy that in the past where they would stay somehow related to the Belichick tree, the whatever it was that they wanted to do because that's how they felt comfortable. This time around, they need to go out of their comfort zone. I think they need to go for candidates that have a actual, true, proven record and are coming from successful, very, what's a good word? I'm trying to think. Like I'm thinking to be enemy, right? Like I want
Mhm.
them to do something crazy like that. I don't know that someone like that would want this position. If I'm the enemy, I probably want the Vikings job much more than I want to take on the New York Giants. But I think what they need to do is really go out and look for someone that is not your typical New York Giants hire.
I agree with you there. I think that going to the Belichick tree hasn't worked out well, so I don't think they should go turn around and go right back to it. Um, I know a lot of people. We're talking to some Giants fans. They want Flores, but I don't know if that's the best move um, for them where they are right now. For me, I'd go with someone maybe a little bit younger. I think someone that is not as um, established. Someone maybe like a Byron Leftwich kind of person. Someone that can
Mm-hmm.
someone that's been in successful programs, successful organizations before. That can probably put his own stamp on what you guys have. The Giants do have those two top 10 picks, and while the roster isn't that talented overall, they do still have some decent pieces to build around. So you're looking for a complete rebuild anyway. You might as well just do it and hire a coach that has a good record and that you can keep for a while as you go through this rebuild.
Right. And I think also with Leftwich too, he was a former quarterback. I know he's already interviewed for the Jags. Jags is probably a very enticing option for him as someone that was a former quarterback. And I think, I kind of got a lot of slack for it from Giants Twitter saying that the Giants position was not that appealing, right? And I mean that in you're still taking on, right? Like you have this quarterback that the franchise is still in limbo with. You have players like Saquon that you have to make decisions about. You have a lot of guys leaving, like Ingram. You have a lot of contracts you have to look through. We're basically broke. There's not a lot of cap room. I know you can fix those things, and I get it, but there are some things that are going to hold you back. I think the appealing things are, you can start from scratch with this O line. And you also have a lot of draft picks, and especially if they get a GM in there that, is someone that's going to be supportive and you can work with and isn't holding you back. I think there is things to like. It is New York, right? There's always that appeal there with the New York franchise. But,
Hmm.
Peter Schrager was talking about it today. The Giants, this last hiring round was still like a very attractive place. I think it's losing a little bit of that glory because it's been so long. And I think they need to, they're going to have to come in here, and it's a tough place to coach. The fans are not easy. I believe very strongly that part of the reason Mara fired Judge is because of the fans. And I think it got too loud and it was too much because you can't, I mean, you're seeing tickets go for $6. So it's
Hmm.
gonna, I think
Yeah.
someone coming in that's young, that doesn't, has enough of a track record to have some trust from the fans. And someone that maybe will take on Daniel, because I really don't think the smartest idea is to find another quarter. I think right now you don't pick up his 5th year option and you move forward. You see what you can get this year out of him, and then move on from there if you want to.
Do you think, being in the Giant, and obviously like in New York, there's not a lot of patience. Do you think that the fan base will have enough patience to go through, a 2, 3 year rebuild, which is what you guys need? Like, will they give this new coach and GM that kind of time?
Yeah, I think that Gettleman made horrible mistakes right off the bat that, that you immediately piss people off, right? Like if you go back and look at the drafts that he did, I will give him credit. He had some success in free agencies, some success in second round of drafts, but outside of that, he made some really, really big mistakes that are going to set this franchise back a very long time because of those mistakes. And I think the reason why Judge still was kind of this, in the eyes of other fandoms, why he was still so glorified from us is the fact that last year, I think a lot of people forget, like the Giants were in every game, barely lost games. I mean, they're basically where I see Detroit right now. They're
Hmm.
staying in everything. They're beating some big names, and they're kind of right there. And I think somehow the Giants managed to take a total 180 and just start running in the other direction. So I think fans can be patient in the sense where, like, I mean, they're delusional. Like if they think that we're going to turn into a seven, like that's not you're not turning into a 7-win team overnight. My goal for this year was 6 wins, and we didn't get there, right? So
Hmm.
you have to be realistic with what's happening. But I think that the fact that they fired the GM and the head coach, I'm optimistic that they can turn it around. At least be watchable.
Yeah, yeah. I think like you got the clean slate that you guys kind of needed. Wasn't working with Gettleman, and obviously Judge wasn't working for him either. So the fact that you're bringing in both, and you have the 2 picks depending on where you go with the picks, hopefully it gives it lets the fan base know that you guys are going in the right direction. So it gives
Right.
the new hires time to do what they need to do to get you back to respectability.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Next one on the slate is the Minnesota Vikings. You had mentioned the enemy before. Do you think that's the best route for him, or do you think the Vikings go somewhere else?
I think what the Vikings really need, almost even more than what the Giants, they really, 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 really need an offensive minded head coach. Like, that's it. I don't even think they should look the direction of a defensive guy. I think that this team needs to catch up to the age of football that we are at. Very much like the Giants. Honestly, their playbooks before Jones was out were very similar. There's a lot of similarities between these two teams, but the difference is that roster is beautiful. It's an attractive
Mm-hmm.
place to go right now. They need, they're losing a lot of guys, a lot of contracts are up, and they're probably going to have to do a lot of work in free agency, and they could use a little bit of help on defense. But that offensive side, like they should be producing more. They should be going to the playoffs. There's really no excuse, I think, for the Vikings. And at least you have an established quarterback in Kirk. He has one more year of guaranteed money. If you want to move on from him from there, you move on from him. But regardless of what people say, Kirk Cousins is still one of the top quarterbacks in top 15 wherever you want to place him. He is still there. He's consistent. He doesn't get hurt. You have young guys like Justin Jefferson, and for the first time in a while, they have the 12th pick overall, and,
Mm-hmm.
and they also have more picks than they normally have. I think they don't have a third or fourth. I don't know what it is exactly, but I think an offensive mind, like one guy, I was even thinking he wouldn't go within the division though. But Nathaniel Hackett, I think, is going to get hired this offseason. I don't know exactly where he'll land, but they really need someone like Leftwich would actually be great here. I,
Yeah.
you know what? There's two guys that I'm seeing a lot popping up, and that's McDaniel, the 49ers OC, and then Kellen Moore. I,
Hmm.
I get it. I think it's too soon. I don't think that these guys have been in leadership to the point where they're ready to take on a head coaching. I think it's a little too soon for Kellen Moore and a little too soon for McDaniel. I don't want to see them get head coaching positions quite yet. It doesn't mean that they can't develop into that. I just think right now it's a little too soon.
Hmm. We got a comment. The Giants need Flores.
Mm.
Well, maybe.
I don't know if Flores, Flores, I kind
Yeah.
of, we'll get to the Bears later, but we have to see. Flores was one of those guys that really wanted Herbert. A lot of the tension with that franchise was that he didn't want Tua.
Hmm.
And I can't imagine that Flores wants to take on Daniel Jones, to be
Right.
honest.
Yeah.
And that's just flat out how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Flores, I still think I would love Flores. I'm not going to say I wouldn't love Flores, but again, they've said that they're not going to go within the Belichick tree, so I don't think it's happening.
Hmm. I think disagree with you a little bit on the Vikings. I think that they should go after someone like Kellen Moore. I think Kellen Moore would be perfect there, considering going from an offense that has Zeke, CD, Amari, and then going to Cook, Justin Jefferson, Dalen, whatever.
Hmm.
Is a easier transition for him. He's a creative play caller. He is young. There's no denying that he is young. He doesn't have
Hmm.
that kind of head coaching experience. But I'd rather them, hire someone a little too early than going too late and then not getting the guy that they want. I think you can let him grow in the job a little bit, give him some patience. They have a 12th pick, like you said. They can get some more weapons for him and improve the defense. So I think the perfect spot for Moore, if someone were to hire him this
Yeah.
cycle, would be the Vikings.
That I can get behind. I totally agree with that. Absolutely. I think and I totally just lost my train of thought. What the hell was I gonna say? Oh my goodness. Oh, I think it's weird too. I think this will play a part. This is what I was thinking. Because I told you the Vikings are a mystery to me. Oh, actually, I'll tell you who they did. The only interview that they have scheduled is your old friend, Mr. Dougie P. Um,
Dougie P.
I think that's interesting, but again, I think that the Vikings are one of those teams that very much need to start new roots. They need a fresh kind of, someone that hasn't maybe necessarily been a head coach. I think it's interesting that Clint Kubiak is interviewing for the Panthers OC. This is why I mean, like, something weird is going on there. I don't
Mhm.
know what's going on. So if they end up having to hire an OC too, things might get a little crazy over there. I know the Ole Miss head coach also, there were some rumors floating around with him as well. I know that they're going to hire a GM first, which I think is the appropriate manner to be going about this.
Yeah, I agree. I think the fact that you had your point about something going on. I think that I agree with you there. That they have something there, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there, and hopefully they don't mess it up.
Yeah, I'll cry.
No, you won't. It's the Vikings. You don't care.
Yeah, but I like them. I like their talent over there, and I can't, as frustrated as like I have been with my franchise, like I legitimately cannot imagine being a Vikings fan. I feel horrible for them. I mean, like there's so much talent there, and they're always so close, and it's like they lose at the very end, and those guys want to fight and they want to be out there, and I think Zimmer just. And I don't think Zimmer is a bad coach. I don't think that anyone's really speaking a bad word about him. I think it just was time for them to move on because he was trying to take on too much there. I think he was like calling the offense and
Yeah,
defense, then focusing too much on the defense, running the ball too much. They got to get a little bit more fast pace over there, and they need someone a little bit more with the times.
yeah, agree. A fresh perspective is definitely needed.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We got the Miami Dolphins.
Mm.
So I'll take this one first, if you don't
Yeah, I was
mind.
gonna say I will let you take this one first because I find this interesting.
Yeah. So for the Dolphins, I like that you had the left which one before, but I think this would be a good place to go for Nathaniel Hackett. I think he's not
Hmm.
the youngest; he's still only 42. He's been in Green Bay for a while, but I think that's the kind of system that could be really useful for Tua. And they have some decent weapons there. They have Waddle, Gesicki if they resign him, and Hackett has been an offensive coordinator for Jacksonville when Blake Bortles had that good year and they went to the AFC
Yeah.
Championship game. So he has experience taking teams that aren't usually good and turning them around. So I think that'd be a good shot for him over in Miami after going from the defensive Flores to the offensive Hackett.
Yeah. I like, again, a lot of these coaches I like are like staying in divisions and stuff. So it's not as realistic. Like Dable, I think is an interesting option there. I, I don't understand what Miami want. Like I get that there was tension between, the whole Tua situation, the front office, and Flores, and I think that Flores is going to end up in a better position because of this. But I'm not exactly sure what Miami wants. They're gonna have to be ready to come in. They need an O line overhaul. They really need also they have to add a wide receiver. They have Waddle, but everyone else is pretty much unreliable. But they have a young guy in Tua that really needs to develop, and he was doing well. He was showing flashes, especially towards the end, being very consistent. So they're gonna have to make a smart choice here. Kellen Moore is also an interesting option for Miami, given Tua and what's over there and what they need to do. But I think it should be an appealing option for some guys.
Yeah, definitely agreed there. I think that he would do well there. And like you said, they have a ton of cap space,
Hmm.
some picks, they have some decent pieces. So it's definitely an attractive option for a guy.
Hmm.
Uh, Coming up next, I think the best, in my opinion, the best situation, the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos have a ton of offensive talent, decent defense. The only thing missing is a quarterback. So for me, I think this would be a great place to put a Brian Dabble in. I think if Brian Dabble can take this job, they have a
Hmm.
ton of cap space. They can go out and either sign a QB or he can, coach up whoever if they draft someone or they sign someone. I think that the Drew Lock experiment is pretty much run its course. I don't think that um, he's the answer, but give him a off season with Dabble and see what he can do with them. If he can recoup some of his talent, then great. If not, then whatever. But I think that would be the perfect spot for him if he were to leave Buffalo.
Yeah, I agree. I could get behind that. I think two options for this one that I'm thinking is maybe depending on how serious they are about Aaron Rodgers, that interests me. Hackett interests me. I don't
Yeah,
think it's a surprise that they're trying to interview some guys over there. I think he would be a solid option, even if they were bringing on maybe a younger guy. I'm not sure what the Broncos' plan is as far as quarterback goes. And then I don't think I said this on our Twitter space. I didn't see that he was one of the options they were looking into, but I actually like the idea of Flores over there. I also think that Watson wanted to go to Miami because of Flores. That was a bigger piece of it. And, you put Watson in Denver, and we're talking about
Super Bowl.
trouble for the league,
It's
like
Super Bowl.
big trouble. And I think, if that is kind of the direction they're going, I wouldn't be surprised if we see their head coach very much aligned with like we'll be able to figure out, I think, fairly quickly what direction they're trying to go with their quarterback situation.
Yeah. That's the main thing. That's the key to pretty much everything in Denver and has been since Manning left.
Hmm.
If they can get a quarterback in, they have the pieces around whoever's playing to definitely make a run. And if they were to get Watson, they would be my Super Bowl favorites, honestly. With the amount of talent they have on both offense and defense, that'd definitely be someone to watch uh,
Yeah.
for. But I do like. I didn't think of the Hackett connection. If they get Rodgers and they bring Hackett along, if Rodgers and Hackett have a good relationship, that'd be awesome too. I think that'd be a really good pairing over there in Denver.
I still have this feeling that Rodgers is going to retire this year. I think if he wins the Super Bowl, he's definitely retiring. I think there's no if, ands, or buts about it. I think he will absolutely go. They say that his relationship is better as of late with the front office in Green Bay, but it, it would be interesting to see what ends up happening.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Next on the list, the Chicago Bears. The Bears have $43 million in cap space, but not they don't have a first round pick, which is a big bummer. You guys have that pick. They
Mhm.
do have a potential franchise quarterback in Justin Fields. and some really good pieces on defense. I think this would be a good spot for someone like Doug Peterson. I think that he has some familiarity with that offense. They wouldn't have to change things around so much, but he's not uh, as bad of a coach as Matt Nagy is. I think that he can do well with helping Justin Fields develop. And he's not like a splashy hire, let's be
Hmm.
honest, but he's definitely someone that could definitely, be even keel, not rock the boat, and let the talent, play up to their potential.
Yeah, it's definitely an appealing situation in the fact that you have this young guy, Justin Fields. You have some weapons that, that roster is going to need some help. It's a little geriatric too. There's a lot of contracts that they need to figure out. But I don't think, we saw the way that they were playing. I think they're not, they still have a little bit of time before this winning competitive team. Um, the Bears. I think I kind of agree with the Doug call there. I think that they almost need someone that's not like they don't need someone that is a learning curve head coach, right? Like they need someone to come in that's going to be a leader that day and know how to execute. Like that's the kind of direction that even those players need over there. Um,
Mhm.
Leftwich is interesting too. Or I'm just deciding do I want an offensive guy over there? Do I want a defensive guy over there? That's the only thing. Ugh.
I don't know. You tell me.
Brian Flores might really like that because, if he was pretty high on Watson, he was the guy that wanted Herbert. They got Tua. Maybe he gets his new project, not project, because, Justin Fields did develop fairly well during the
Mhm.
season, but maybe he gets his guy in Justin Fields and he's able to really develop that team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, especially with the kind of defense they have and the cap situation, that it'd be ready made for a defensive guy like him to come in, have the defense play 100% and maybe fix the offense up a little bit.
And after going from someone like Nagy, like teams like the Bears and the Giants were like they literally had no, Judge was it was very fake discipline. Like the Bears and the Giants really need a guy that's going to come in and remind me like Tom Coughlin or like the way Flores is, where it's like no frills, no BS, like don't be late to practice. Like they need to
Right.
just tighten things up a little bit. It's a little too loose everywhere. So they need someone to come in that's really going to just uh, cut the BS and go for the kill there.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. They need someone to like you said, like someone that good discipline, steady the ship, and let them play to their potential. All right. Last but certainly not least, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. For the second year in a row, they'll be looking for their coach. They have an absolute ton of cap room with about 72 million, 10 draft picks, franchise quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Who do you think would be a good fit for the Jags?
Hmm. I think that Bill O'Brien would be a mistake over there. I do
I was
not
about to
like
say
that.
that is not the correct answer, Bill
Sorry,
O'Brien.
I'm just thinking out loud because I know that that's starting to get a lot of attention, so I just want to nip that a little bit in the bud. I keep saying his name. I think Hackett is interesting. Bieniemy, I don't think we'll go over there, honestly. Hackett's interesting because he did used to be over there, so there is a little bit of a tie. He has that young core. I think that the Jaguars opening is very interesting. I think it's very appealing. I think for a guy that wants to go in, even like Leftwich, right? Like
Mhm.
as someone that has, is coming from a system that's a winning system, and has had work with a young quarterback in that development. So Dable is also interesting, but I'm gonna go Leftwich. I think here would be my ideal placement for him.
Yeah, I agree with Leftwich. I think that a guy that comes from a winning program is as a quarterback himself, so he'll be able to help Lawrence develop. Um, and he obviously he has the history in Jacksonville,
Hmm.
so they more than welcome him down there. If not Leftwich, I think a nice under the radar signing could probably be Matt Eberflus, the Colts defensive coordinator. I
Hmm.
think I haven't mentioned him a lot, but I think he's built that defense up into a monster. Uh, so someone that can rebuild the Jacksonville defense into where they were a couple of years ago when they made the AFC Championship game, and bring in someone that could help develop Lawrence would also I think be a decent hire for them.
Yeah, that is a very good point. That's an interesting job because the Jaguars, like you even saw them that last game, right? And like all that team has been through injuries and Meyer and everything. You know, they're another team that's, they're in the right, trending in the right direction. And I think that there's a lot to like about that team. There's a lot to like about what you could do in the off season over there. So, Dan Quinn keeps coming up a lot. I
Hmm.
don't know where I would like him. If I'm someone hiring a head coach, I'm going for an offensive mind just because of the way the league is. I feel very strongly right now, especially for
Yeah,
some of these teams that are in a rebuild, like that have really crappy offenses. That's like one things that you see across the board in all these teams that need, a head coach. Their offense stinks. So I
hmm,
think that they really strongly do need someone offensive to get on in there.
yeah, absolutely. Someone on offense and someone that can help develop their QBs because a lot of these teams have either young QBs or QBs that haven't lived up to their potential. So
Hmm.
someone that can maybe maximize that potential and develop them is key for offense. I definitely agree there. All right, so before we head out, we're going to do some NFL wild card underdog bets. Is there any underdogs this week in wild card weekend that you like to show up, do well?
The 49ers. I think the 49ers are going to pull this one out. I think that they've been playing super physical. I think they have the weapons to do it. You have Debo, you can play all over the field. The Cowboys have showed weakness, and as much as, it's very, I mean, they've been great. It's no knock to them as much as it pains, myself as an NFC East fan, but I think there's flaws there, and I think that if the 49ers can get up on top and, their secondary has been playing better, they're not getting a lot of credit for it. I think they could shake them. And I think they have the skills on offense to, get around that D that's been their force.
Hmm. I 100% agree, and we're both going to be labeled haters because we're both NFC fans.
Yeah.
But whatever. No, I think that they really literally have the perfect recipe to pull off the upset. They have a strong running game. Debo Samuel is someone that you really can't cover either in the backfield or one on one on the outside. They have a defense that can get after Dak, and once you get Dak running around and out of the pocket, he struggles. Uh, their corners and secondary has been playing really well, so I think that they have the most likely chance of pulling up the upset. A close second, though, I think would be the Cardinals. I think they can. The Rams have not been good the last couple of weeks of the season. I know the Cardinals haven't been either, but I think they in the shootout, I think that Matthew Stafford doesn't do well under high pressure
Yeah.
situations, and it's pretty much on him now that for them to go ahead in the next round after what the kind of year that Cooper Cup had and everything that and all the expectations and trading for Von Miller and everything. So they have to win now. So the pressure is definitely going to be on him, and I think he just doesn't handle it like he's never handled it, and the Cardinals go out on top there.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they're coming in, not that it's interesting they're coming in his favor because I'm not surprised by that, but also, Arizona did beat them. Like they beat Arizona. Arizona is better on the road than they are at home. They're going to be on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if Arizona can play very clean football, they can apply the pressure and try to, yards after carry has been their problem. So if they can try to attack that and really hone in on the mistakes that they've made, I think they could easily pull this off because Stafford, knowing that that's that team's weakness, if you take advantage of that, I mean, he's been throwing. This is one of the biggest games I think Stafford. If he throws an interception that loses this game, there is going to be people talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Like this is it. I mean, this is in Detroit. He never had either the coaching or the players or whatever. But like he has the coaching, he has the players, he has the defense, he has the playmakers. This is on him. This is all on him. If they fail, if they don't make it past the wild card weekend, it is solely Matt Stafford's fault.
Yeah, it's true. And their defense too has been a little overrated. They get sluggish at the wrong times. They make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And if Arizona gets hot, and Kyler Murray has played very well again, almost 100 yards, if not 100 yards on, the ground against them. So they can use that to their advantage against him. James Conner is a very big weapon that I think if he has a fantastic game too, this team's gonna be a little hard to stop. But again, I think this will be a good game. But it would not shock me if Arizona wins.
Yeah, agreed.
What about your Eagles?
Oh no, we have no shot. No chance.
Really? No shot. That's not what
No
everyone
chance.
thinks.
That well, they're wrong because everyone points to the fact that we faced them earlier in the year and the game was close, but it wasn't really. I mean, we were down 28-7 at halftime, and then they took their foot off the gas. Tom Brady, I think, is going to destroy the mid and back end of our defense because we don't have any linebackers worth a damn, and we're not going to get enough pressure for it to matter. And I don't think that the offense is good enough right now to keep up with the kind of offense that the Bucks can generate. So I don't really
Yeah.
feel like we have a
And
shot.
I
Obviously,
will
I'm going
give
to root
credit
for
where
them,
credit
but
is due. I think that the Eagles have impressed everyone in the league with what they've been able to accomplish. They're the prime example of the fact that you can be in a rebuild and you can win games.
yeah.
I think they probably snuck into the playoffs a little bit because of their schedule at the end. I remember we talked a
Hmm.
bit about this probably halfway through the season. It was like they were barely traveling. They didn't have to get on a plane. They're
Yeah.
playing all the bottom tier teams. And they had the easiest schedule in the NFL moving forward. So did
Hmm.
they sneak in maybe a little bit because of
Yeah.
that? Probably. And we know how the NFC is. So I think that it's kudos to them. It's impressive they made it there. I don't know, it would be shocking if they made a
Yeah.
very
I
long
would be
run.
obviously. I'm rooting for them to win. And I want them to win. I just got to be
Of
realistic. I
course.
don't think that they like every elite quarterback we faced this year has dominated the defense. So I just don't think that Tom Brady is going to allow us to beat it. I mean, if we rush for 250 yards and Jalen Hurts leads the rushing attack, and maybe like we keep the ball away from Tom enough that we might pull off or keep it close at least, pull off the upset. But that's literally the only way I could even like think of it
Hmm.
coming up. Otherwise, I just think that they're too good. They're great at stopping the run. They're going to sell it to stop the run and dare Jalen Hurts to beat them, and we'll see if
Hmm.
he's up to the task. I just don't think that overall the team is good enough. Like you said, like we stuck into the playoffs. We were playing, QBs that were garbage, and Tom Brady is definitely not that. So I just don't see us winning that game.
Yeah. But it's exciting,
I know. I mean, we're
You're
in the playoffs.
obviously in a good spot, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So that's exciting
definitely. I'm happy.
for
We made the
you.
playoffs. We weren't supposed to make the playoffs this year. We're supposed to be rebuilding, win like 6 games, and we ended up
Yeah.
making it. So hey, it's house money. I'm happy to be able to watch another week of football that matters to me. So then what more can I ask for? Really?
And anything can happen. There's going to be upsets this weekend.
No, 100% for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
I'm excited. It should be very fun.
It should be a lot of fun. All right, that'll wrap up our show for today. Thank you all for our watching. Steph, why don't you let everyone know where they can find your stuff?
You can find me at Steffi Smalls with 3 L's. All my stuff is with Champions Round. We're doing a live draft for on our app. Where are we doing it on? IG, right?
IG, yes.
Yeah, so we'll be on there later at 7:30 Eastern. Dan and I will be back tomorrow. We have tons of stuff going on.
Yes, a lot of stuff. You can find me on Twitter at EagleNFF. All my content's at Champions Zone. We're doing that draft on Instagram later. And you can find Steph and I in a couple of weeks at the Senior Bowl
Yeah.
in Alabama. So definitely check us out there. It's going to be a lot of fun, exciting. All right, everyone, we'll be sure to see you tomorrow. Have a good day.
See ya.